Hello students! Make today the day to learn something new. I am April Anakbang, your science teacher. But before we begin ubing, please stand up to your places and let's have a simple warm-up to awaken our senses. Okay, so I'll be playing a video entitled Galaw ng Pilipinas. You're going to follow it.
Lihok,
Galaw!
Galbong,
Kiwa!
Gunay.
What did you feel after the warm-up of being? Please let me know by commenting on our comment section below. So that will serve as my guide that you have watched this video. Okay, my dear students, here are just some reminders for you to have a very meaningful and productive day of learning. First one, find a comfortable space to study. This space must be free from noise. Second one, watch the video intently. And third one, participate actively in the class discussion. So there are some questions that are embedded or can be found here in the video, and sharing your answer or thoughts about it in the comment section below is highly appreciated. Okay, so let's go and learn. Again, good morning my dear students. So welcome to Science 7 Week 5 Module 5, the nature and characteristics of light. So this is the most essential learning outcome. Demonstrate an understanding of how to explain the color and intensity of lights in terms of their wave characteristics, wherein there are two different lessons, the nature and sources of light and the characteristic of light. So let's warm up our minds a bit. So let's try to play this Guess the Gibberish. Are you familiar with this one? So Guess the Gibberish is very famous in Instagram. So how to play? Okay, so to play, read the groups of unrelated words and decipher them into words related to light. So you only must have a stable internet connection and participation in the game. So if you know the answer, just comment your answer on the comment section. Okay, so here is an example. We have here three words, have, and then pulled, and then use. So you're going to read it fast in order for you to decipher what is the real word to it. So apple juice. So how does it sound like? It sounds like apple juice. Okay, so let's have the gibberish number 1. What's the answer? Okay, very good. It is sunlight. Gibberish number 2. What's the answer? Very good. It is candle. And then we have gibberish number 3. What do you think the answer? Very good. It is flashlight. And let's have gibberish number 4. Okay, very good. It is a star. You are a star. And then lastly, gibberish. What is it? Very good. It is laser. Okay, so what a good reader. And now let's look at this answers. We have the sun, the candle, and the flashlight, laser, and stars. So what do you think are the relationships of these objects? Any idea? No ti konayo ket dagitoy mangted iti ranyag iti aglawlaw. Usto kayo unay dita. Okay, so let's go on to this one. So I have here different sets of graphic interchange format or pictures. Okay, so we have here set A, dark, and you can see a car here. And also a dark one in set B, you can see a little bit dark but the shadow of mountain. And are you familiar with this one? Yes, that is the Madongan Dam. And we have here in set C, we have a very dark. And how about this? Are you familiar? Of course, that is the coronavirus under a microscope. Okay, so as you can see on the upper part of the picture, what can you observe? It is very dark. Okay, so what makes you see this street at night? The amazing view of Madongan Dam and the virus under a microscope. Yes, you are right. It is the light. Silaw. So how does light behave so we could see these things around us? We could see the beautiful things around us. So we're going to watch a video wherein it is a pre-made video. You could do that also in your house, but you need also the guidance of your parents or guardian. But before that, here are the list of guide questions as you go on to that video. It would be an issue for you to understand how the nature of light. And let's try to find the answers as we go on through our discussion. Okay? Let's try to know more the four scientists whose contributions in understanding the lights are valuable. First was Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton believed that light behaves like a particle. In fact, in his book Optics, which was published 1704, he stated that light is never known to follow crooked passages nor to bend into the shadow. So this concept is consistent with the particle theory of light, which proposed that light particles must always travel in a straight line. We have also here Christian Huygens. Christian Huygens believed that light behaves like a wave. He believed that there is a medium called ether that carried light waves. Third scientist, Louis de Broglie. He believed that light can be a particle and a wave. And this is known as the dual nature of light. And the fourth one, James Clerk Maxwell, who proposed the electromagnetic theory of light. So through their thorough study of lights along with their contemporary scientists, we understand the concept or the characteristics of light. The nature of light. So let's try to know more about light. For you, Ubing, anya iti light? What is light for you? Okay, so light is a form of energy that travels through an electromagnetic wave. So do you still remember what we discussed last time? The two kinds of waves, the mechanical waves and the electromagnetic waves. So the mechanical waves, it requires a medium or an object to produce. And the best example for that one is your sound waves. And the electromagnetic waves, this one, do not require a medium or an object to produce. And the best example for that one is your light wave. So light wave or light can be natural or man-made, but no matter how it was formed, we still utilize in different ways in every single day of our lives. So the question now is, do you still remember this question in the previous video that we had watched a while back? So how does light travel? So what happens to the light as it passes through the hole of the first cardboard? So this is now the answer. So it has wave-like nature and particle-like nature, and it travels in a straight line path with or without medium. So when light waves strike an object, some light might be reflected and a portion may be absorbed. So we have here different materials where a light ray can be reflected or can be absorbed. So let's try to find out what material can where light be absorbed. Sources of light. So there are different sources of light, and we can identify them into natural or artificial sources of light. So natural sources of light, these are sources of light that are present naturally in the universe and are not made by humans. An example of that one is the sun, the stars, and the lightning. We have also here the artificial sources of light. These are the man-made sources of light. We have the bulb, the lamp, the candles, and the matches. We can also identify them into their luminosity. Luminous if this light source emit their own light. An example for that one is your sun, the bulb, the lamp. And non-luminous if they do not emit their own light, like the book, the wood, and the moon. Ma'am, why moon is non-luminous? Why? Moon doesn't have their own light, guys. They are dependent to the ray or the light of the sun. Okay? So how could we see non-luminous objects? Okay, so light, for example, this one, the book is a non-luminous object. And the light source is the lamp. So light from the lamp strikes the book. And some of the light is reflected to the eyes. Kaya nakikita natin yung book, which is a non-luminous object. Okay, it's time to share, my dear students. So, have you seen this species? Nakakita kayo kastoyan? In Ilocano, ana detoy? It is the kulalanti. Or in Tagalog, alitap-tap. In English, firefly. So, identify this species if it is a natural source of light or an artificial source of light. Then tell me whether if it is a luminous or non-luminous object. Okay, share your answer in the comment section. Okay, so alitap-tap or kulalanti in Ilocano, they have the natural or they considered to be natural source of light. And they are luminous because they produce their own luminosity or luminance. And we call this as bioluminescence. Bioluminescence, guys, is the production and emission of light by a living organism. Okay, so kulalanti, if you will see a kulalanti in your backyard this evening, you will tell yourself this is a natural source of light. Characteristics of light. So there are two characteristics of light, the intensity and the color. So intensity, it refers to the strength or amount of light produced by a specific lamp source. So intensity is the measure of the wavelength weighted power by a light source. It is a quantitative characteristic of light. So it defined to be the power per unit area, wherein the area here is the area of a sphere. So we could use 4 pi r square because this is the formula of the sphere. So watt per square meter is the unit for intensity. So let's go on to this one. As I've told you a while back, intensity or the symbol big letter I, power big letter P, and area A. The area here is the area for sphere, so we could use this one, 4 pi r square. Okay? Pi equivalent to 3.14. R is the radius or the distance of the light source from the center of the sphere. Okay, so let's have a sample problem for that one. Suppose a light source, bulb, has a 300 watts. What is the intensity of light if the distance from the light source is 20 meters? Okay, so what is given? The power, 300 meters or 300 watts, I should say. And the radius or the distance is 20 meters. Okay? So by using the formula of intensity, wherein it is intensity is equal to power over area, or intensity is equal to power over 4 pi r square, we could substitute the given. So 300 watts for the power, 4 times the volume of pi, which is 3.14, and the distance or the radius, which is 20 squared. So intensity is equal to 300 watts over 12.56 times 400 meters squared. And then intensity is equal to 300 watts divided by 5,024 meters squared. So what is the value? You could compute it in your calculator. You could use your calculator if you're going to solve this one. So the intensity is equal to 0.06 watt meter squared. Okay? Did you get it? Just go with the formula, our formula. So intensity is equal to power over area. Or intensity is equal to power over 4 pi r square. Don't forget the value of pi, which is 3.14. Okay? So, intensity also, in this one, the photometry is the branch of science that deals with the measurement of intensity or the brightness of light. So photometer, it is a special instrument that can be used to measure luminous intensity. Okay, so don't forget this branch of science. It is what you call the photometry. And the brightness. Brightness is the qualitative expression of light intensity. So the visual perception in which a light source appears to be emitting light or a surface to be reflecting light. So the brightness of light is dependent on how far you are from the source. So look at this picture, my dear grade 7. Okay, so this girl, she is literally under the street light. And this girl here is very or far from the light source or from the street light. Whom do you think will have a brighter light? Is it the girl here, or the girl that is away from the light source, or the girl that is under the light source or under the light street light? Okay, so if you are farther from the light source, from the source, the dimmer is the light that you will see. That is the answer. Remember that the intensity of light depends upon the amount of light or the number of photons that pass in a certain area. So the intensity or the brightness of light is also related to the wave's amplitude. So the higher amplitude corresponds to a brighter light, while the lower amplitude, if it is lower amplitude, it corresponds to a dimmer light. So let's go on to the second characteristics of light, which is the color. So the color of the light depends on the frequency or the wavelength of the radiation that reaches the eye. So visible light, which travels at the speed of 3.0 times 10 raised to 8 meter per second, falls in the wavelength range 400 nanometer to 750 nanometer. So the visible lights are the only light that perceives by the eye. So the range is known as the visible light spectrum, and within it lies the different colors from violet to red as shown in this figure. Okay? So from 400 nanometer to 750 nanometers. So if the light has a shorter wavelength than 400 nanometer, it is called ultraviolet light or the UV rays. So lesser than 400 nanometer, that is the ultraviolet. But if it is wavelength is greater than 750 nanometer, and that is what you call the infrared light. Okay, so look at this wavelength. A shorter wavelength means higher frequency. So, no basbasit ka no jay wavelength na, detoy wavelength, it means higher frequency, whereas a longer wavelength has a lower frequency. The dispersion of light is the phenomenon of splitting a beam of white light into its 7 constituent colors when passed through a transparent medium. So this white light here, guys, as you can see in the diagram, and then passes through the prism, which serves as the transparent medium, and then the white light turns into the rainbow color, or into its 7 constituent colors. So the spectrum is due to the difference in the indices of refraction, or the difference in velocity and wavelengths of spectral colors. Okay, guys, the question now is why there is a rainbow after the rain? Okay, so this is because of the dispersion of light. So the raindrops that's suspended in the air serves as the prism. It is the transparent medium. And when the light strikes these water droplets, anong mangyayari? It will give you the 7 constituent colors of white light. Okay? Kaya yun yung dahilan kung bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng rainbow. Hindi dahil meron dong mahalaga or like treasure doon sa part kung saan tumubo yung rainbow. It is because of the water droplets that's suspended in the air. And when the sunlight strikes that water droplets, it forms, or it gives out the 7 constituent colors, or the Roy-G-Bib. Okay? So here is a quotation to end my discussion. It takes sunshine and rain to make a rainbow. There would be no rainbows without sunshine and rain, by Roy T. Bennett, The Light in the Heart. Okay, so rain is something that makes our life down sometimes. Ito yung parang nakakapanglumo sa atin. Pero tatandaan natin mga bata na kung walang rain, hindi natin makikita ang rainbow. Kasi yung rain at yung mga raindrops, or yung mga water droplets that suspended in the air after the rain, yun yung nagbibigay or nagsisilbing transparent medium para makita natin yung mga 7 constituents of raindrops. Okay? So, let's have this one. Let's try to find out what is the importance of light. Okay, so through this problem solving. So a while back, I've showed you a way on how to solve the intensity of light. So student A and student B are grade 7 student of San Marcelino National High School. They were given a written task by their science teacher. Unfortunately, student A submit unorganized writing. The letters are not aligned to the lines of the paper pad, while student B submitted an organized task, and his writings are all aligned to the lines of the paper pad. The excuse of student A for having this type of output is they have a low power of light source, which they only have about 100 watts. And student A is about 2 meters away from that light source. Student B has 200 watts, and student B is about 1.5 meters away from that light source. Check whether the light intensity of student A and student B affects their work. Show your complete solution and give the importance of enough light source in the life of students. So we have here the given. For student A, the power is 100 watts. And the distance is 200 meters away. 2 meters away, I should say. And student B, they have 200 watts. And he or she is 1.5 meters away from the light source. Okay, so using the formula of intensity, which is power over area, or power over 4 times pi r squared, here is the solution. Okay, so student A has a intensity of light of about 1.99 watt per meter squared, while student B has about 7.08 watt per meter squared. So which student, or whose student, has a higher light intensity? Student B, which reflected into his output. Okay, for you guys, what is the importance of light to your life? Okay, so for you to share your answer, just comment on our comment section. Okay, so for the evaluation part, if you are using an Android phone, follow the steps below. So you're going to the Play Store and download Quizzes. Okay, so this is the app Quizzes. And then afterwards, you're going to enter the code 37351877. This is the code for your Quizzes. Okay, this is the code for your assessment. And if you are using an Android phone, you're going to have this. If you already downloaded the Quizzes app and you click it, you will have this, your quiz name. So you would enter your name here. For example, the student name is April Akbang, Ruby is the section. Then click the start and you have the assessment or the evaluation part. You can also use the link that I will be given to you using the comment section. Okay? Or for those students who can't access or who don't have access to internet connection right now, you may use the printed material that I gave it to you. Okay? Okay, so here is your extended or your assignment, my dear students. You are an interior designer. So you will be an interior designer here, an advocate of eco-friendly energy. So you are invited to speak to a group of people who are residing in some part of Sigsig, San Marcelino, Ilocos Norte, a mountainous part wherein access to electricity is not yet developed. So do you know where is Sigsig? So you will be an interior designer here. So here are the key points that you should follow. So importance of good lighting at home, proper levels of lighting at home. Example, in the kitchen, when cooking in the living room, reading in your room, when you are studying, what are the importance or the proper levels of lighting? And suggest a good light source that use of energy efficient light, ceiling fixtures as means of to conserve energy. So that is your performance task. So you need to draw or make a collage or write an essay or poem that covers the following point: importance of light, proper lighting levels at home, different types of light fixtures, and tips to conserve energy. So isa lang yung gagawin nyo dito, hindi lahat ito. Okay? Kung saan kayo comfortable, kung saan kayo magaling. Okay? So kung magaling kang mag-drawing, draw. Kung magaling kang magsulat ng essay or sanaysay or tula, you can write poem to answer this task. Okay? Thank you very much for listening, guys. And I hope that you learned the lesson from our topic for today. See you.